There are millions and millions of them now. Now some of them are grandparents, but they've been given drugs to alter their, which, as we know, dampens the ability to contact your higher self, or your abilities are dampened. So,
I want to say something about attention deficit disorder.
Yeah.
There's several different phenomena that get labeled that, and they're not all the same. And what people have been seeing with these, what we used to call hyperactive children, it used to be just boys. Boys were just high-strung, and that's just the way they are. They got a lot of energy. But then there came a time where the boy can't pay attention because he can't sit still in his seat, and so they drugged him to slow him down. And then they made it a clinical diagnosis to justify the drugging, or whichever way that, whatever the chicken and the egg was on that, I don't recall specifically. But the point is that the higher realm mind is going to run faster, and so when you have indigo children who are tacking along at a higher rate of speed, their RPMs are moving. And so they're having whole thoughts way faster than adults are used to seeing a child have, and moving from thought to thought and act to act, action to action, toy to toy, whatever, because they're satiating themselves quite fast. And so you can call it hyperactivity, but think of it as these guys are just really going faster, harmonically speaking.
Right.
In their consciousness. And it shows in their physicality, and it does look strange to us, but we need to embrace it and appreciate how fast they're learning.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Because the rate of speed of energy determines where it is in the scale of things, and the energy that we can't see is the energy that's moving faster than we are.
And the children's attention, they're moving fast.
Right. Now, one of the things I'm curious about is, what about, we know that there's a stranglehold that has been created, a giant octopus of debt, and the banking industry and the banking cartels in league with the mafia and the corporations and the governments. So we're pretty aware of that, but when is this going to start to collapse? I mean,
well, don't worry, it's not going to collapse. Fortunately, it's going to be allowed to limp along. However, having said that, there will be a transition as these guys at the top are arrested and held accountable. Everything, all the house of cards below that will have to tumble down. And however, the disruption won't be horrific or anything like that. Okay. We'll simply roll over to a distribution of wealth of a currency that is actually metal based, and this has actually been being worked out behind the scenes for a couple of years now. In fact, there's a rather elaborate legal replacement government to our federal government that we have under the current construct. Earlier law or earlier constitutional provisions and legislation allow for this in the kind of circumstances that we're in right now, where our government has been taken over and is hostile to the people. Right. The interim government was actually built into our system, so it's been the work to get it activated has been going on for a sufficient amount of time that we're actually ready to roll that out very, very soon now. And the financial reconstruction has already been worked out likewise. So people to relax and understand that everything has been planned for by the most intelligent entities you could possibly imagine.
Oh, right.
I mean, yeah, and so this is it's going to be a rational, a fair, and relatively smooth transition. Not that we won't see some scuffles, but that'll be infighting from the people we're breaking away from, and we'll just enjoy the show as they pick on one another, but realize that that the higher realm entities aren't going to let them have a pissing match, if you will, with their lasers. to the detriment of any of us on the ground. So, their ships can be captured and taken aboard our motherships and taken out of the equation rather efficiently. But there will be some skirmishes that we will see in the weeks to come, and those will be widely reported so that the humans on the ground will know what was happening. But they will also see how swiftly it was put to an end, and then that should embolden everyone to settle down and settle into this new paradigm of freedom that we are already in.
Wow. Now, what about the enormous underground projects that have been going on and the secret projects that are basically black operations that for instance, Area 51 through 99 and
sure, none of that is a secret to the people that it matters most to, and it's not even a secret to the humans anymore. But it is known right where everybody is at. There isn't anybody on this planet that is inaccessible to the kind of technology that our big friends have brought with them.
All right.
And plus, there's the supernatural ability to simply disembody somebody who is absolutely going to commit an evil and unallowable act, which is murder now, and so they can be disembodied or beamed off the planet. Whatever recourse is necessary and appropriate to the agreement that person forgot they made when they came onto this planet. None of us are going to be allowed to die ahead of time. Anybody dying from this day forward, it was already built into their contract coming in. They didn't need to be here for ascension. They probably came here just to be light on a dark place and bring their frequency onto the surface of the earth to add it. We've had an additive effect, we angels, by incarnating down here, and it was sufficient for most of us to just simply be here and just be the light, and just be nothing, and just be, endure patiently and observe and integrate and negotiate and, try, but learn, whether you realize it or not. And, but just being here for most of us was sufficient. But some of us actually were here for a mission plan, and mine was initiated on the 31st of January. And I was kicked into action, and everything I was doing at the time got dropped like a hot rock. My career.
Wow.
It was quite the unfoldment. I went pretty fast, and but here we are. I did what I came to do, which was to be a tattletale, a whistleblower, and then my secondary now, which is now my primary, is to be a way shower. And I'm a paradigm shifter. The book that I was already writing before Cliff High's Webbot predicted me was already titled The Next Paradigm Shift, Physics, Consciousness, and the Evolution of Humankind. I began writing that book right after Valentine's Day, because when I woke up on Valentine's Day, and I was apprehended in my mind fully the problem with the paradigms of physics that I had been studying for 7 years on this planet. I had already been studying quantum physics and aether physics through Dave Thompson primarily, but also the Korea couple, or Carrera, if I'm saying their name. There's excellent quantum physicists on this planet who can illuminate us quite a way. But there were gaps, there were holes here and there, and I had struggled with those over the last several years. And I woke up on Valentine's Day, and all of a sudden there was no confusion whatever. It was simple, and it was unbelievably simple, and I was shocked, and it was as if, like in the Matrix, when you see all those letters coming down the screen, and the letters have a meaning that is an image of the mind. It was a lot like that. I was really cognizant of like information pouring into my head even after I woke up. And I'm like reading it as it's coming in, and I said to my boyfriend at the time, I was like, "Oh my God, Mike, I think I'm a genius." And I laughed, and he goes, "Why do you say that?" And I said, "Because I know what's wrong with relativity theory. I know how to resolve the macro with the micro." And I get it. And I started giving him examples because he's a chemist, you know, he could track along, and he was like, whoa. I mean, it wasn't long, even with his knowledge base before I had gone over his head. And so I decided to write a book because this was going to mean something to the right people, because when you understand the energies that intimately, I mean, we use primarily just electrons on this planet, but heck, there's a positron, there's a proton, there's an antiproton. I mean, we're missing 3/4 of the easy energy. That's just the easy stuff. You know, that's the big stuff.
Free energy has been around, as far as I know. It's been around for a long time. It's just been held in the hands of...
Absolutely.
Exactly. So I take it that you would agree that that is one of the areas that we've been held back in that will be released as the stranglehold is removed.
Well, I'm happy to report, because I do run in that circle, that a great many wonderful inventions that work on water and, you know, just easy stuff without moving parts, just exchanging energy across cells and things like that. And, you know, you can power a car with a thing like that. And the days of being able to kill people who were trying to bring to market something that the powers that be didn't want there are over, because it was seeded in the consciousness of so many human beings. First, to be curious about what it was that Tesla knew, and then, you know, because they desired it so much, you know, their own what some people would call their oversoul or higher self or whatever obliged them. That's a knock on the door. You're asking for something. So whatever you set your mind to and pursue, you will get full apprehension of. You'll know all the universe has to share with you about that if you keep at it.
It's almost as if we're tapping into the great mind with a capital M.
Yes.
And our little brains, our little minds, not the monkey mind, is kind of like a filtering device that, you know, can work with some very great ideas. And I see that we're moving towards a point when people will be restored to full consciousness.
Absolutely. It's coming up so fast. It's going to make
I really hope so, because this has been a long trek for all of us, and probably a lot of souls have reincarnated over and over and in many different forms.
I just want to say that we have so much help. I mean, there's 144,000 Arcturans like me waking up. I also happen to have Pleiadian lines, and my Pleiadian self woke up first. My Arcturian self is waking up now.
All right.
And so,
I love the Arcturians.
But there's 144,000 of us on the ground who are coming to consciousness pretty quickly now. There's over 1 million Pleiadian humans on the ground that have Pleiadian souls enlivening them, because so many of us are Pleiadian. You know, and so they can easily enliven. Well, I shouldn't say even easily. When your first soul is Pleiadian, and then you're a Pleiadian, then it only makes sense that whoever you are now as a human being is the same Pleiadian soul that came here initially, because they incarnate over and over and over again for this experiment.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're also going to be moving beyond duality and beyond the need for labels. So
absolutely.
I suspect that a lot of this will become irrelevant as we quickly or rapidly...
It depends on where everybody's next step is, because some people came from really high up the realms there, and some people are just going from a natural progression, evolutionarily speaking, from where we're at right now to the very next step, which would be that 4-5D, where we're kind of, you know, in 4 stepping into 5, a lot of us, those of us coming awake. The others are in 3-4, still asleep there, not even realizing that this is even going on for them behind the scenes, because they're not tuned into these kinds of radio shows and you know, blogs and Facebook pages and all that kind of stuff. For them, this just isn't even happening yet. But for us, this the happening of all our anticipation since we became consciously aware that there might be a God.
Yeah. Now
the truth is that the God that you were waiting for was you. You were the one. You just had to knock on the door and say, "Self, I need more of me down here.
Yeah, really.
Got bigger work to do now. Priorities have changed.
Well, now, speaking of that, there are a lot of people that are quite interested in the idea of a first contact, that is, whatever our origins are, or the Galactic Confederation. There are millions and millions of them now. Now some of them are grandparents, but they've been given drugs to alter their, which, as we know, dampens the ability to contact your higher self, or your abilities are dampened. So.
Yeah, I want to say something about attention deficit disorder.
Yeah.
There's a clinical diagnosis to justify the drugging, or whichever way that, whatever the chicken and the egg was on that, I don't recall specifically, but the point is that the higher realm mind is going to run faster, and so when you have indigo children who are tacking along at a higher rate of speed, their RPMs are moving. And so they're having whole thoughts way faster than adults are used to seeing a child have, and moving from thought to thought and act to act, action to action, toy to toy, whatever, because they're satiating themselves quite fast. And so you can call it hyperactivity, but think of it as these guys are just really going faster, harmonically speaking.
Right.
In their consciousness. And it shows in their physicality, and it does. There's several different phenomena that get labeled that, and they're not all the same. And what people have been seeing with these, what we used to call hyperactive children, it used to be just boys. Boys were just high-strung, and that's just the way they are. They got a lot of energy. But then there came a time where the boy can't pay attention because he can't sit still in his seat, and so they drugged him to slow him down. And then they made it look strange to us, but we need to embrace it and appreciate how fast they're learning.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Because the rate of speed of energy determines where it is in the scale of things, and the energy that we can't see is the energy that's moving faster than we are.
And the children's attention, they're moving fast.
Right. Now, one of the